allow me to say a few sentences. So ENAM is an initiative born in Berlin but globally active that is supporting startups in the advanced materials space to come from not necessarily lab, but from the early stages of entrepreneurship to the market. And to support that, we've built an ecosystem, a network consisting of course, startups, universities, corporates, i.e. potential customers of those startups, and investors. And we try to bring these together in an effective and efficient way so that startup growth and startup development is as smooth as possible. We run, amongst other things, 3 startup programs focusing on distinct phases of a hardware startup. We have Atma Lab, that's basically around founding phase, when the innovation comes out of the lab and you have a determined team that want to bring it to the market, i.e. want to develop a product, want to test it, and want to grow it. That's typically around TRL 3-4, for those who know what technology readiness levels are. Then, and that's what we're talking about today, we have the advanced materials competition where it gets increasingly interesting. TRL is between 4 and 6. Startups are ready to really go into industry, talk to customers, earn their first money with their pilot projects, and basically fine-tune the product market fit, adjust it to the particular needs of the industry and the use case there. And then we have also developed a program that is focusing on later stage startups that are gearing up to raise Series A or late seed, in any case, that want to scale the production, that want to scale their team, and that know that their product is going to be received by the market. We've been doing this, or most of this, for 8 years, and we look back at what I personally see as a very convincing track record. So on average, more than 90% of the startups that have gone through our programs, more than 90% of those startups survive and are still in the market, or in a few cases have exited, but the technologies are absorbed in, let's say, a larger company and are still being used. And many of those entrepreneurs are then also still working with these companies. Of course, that's not all thanks to us. It's mostly thanks to the entrepreneurs and maybe a bit due to our selections for our programs, and hopefully also a bit through the connections that we make. Now we're coming to our startups. We have again a very, very strong batch of startups from this time across Europe. 7 countries, 10 startups that have gone through a very intense 3-week program. 2 weeks online, 1 week here in Berlin. And as you can tell from the pictures, the Berlin week started, well, it included work, it included going to the Hanover Fair, it included some interesting pitching exercises and also a bit of socializing. We hope, of course, that the connections that have been made during the programs, and we've offered most of the startups somewhere between 15 and 20 occasions to meet people from industry, from investors, from expert agencies, that these connections, on the one hand, will stay with them, at least some of them, and certainly also help them to move their business forward. A huge thank you, of course, goes out to our sponsors. This year's AtmaCom has been sponsored by Berlin Partner, the Regional Economic Development Agency, sitting just around the corner in the wonderful Ludwig Erhard House, very indicative actually, the name, so we know a bit about German history. Investitionsbank Berlin, the local investment bank that supports the startups that come here, and people of either organization are here. You'll see them on stage later on. And finally, of course, Red Zone, as I've mentioned already, of Saez Getters from Milano, that have all for a number of times already supported us, and we're of course very thankful this year as well. A big thank you also to our growing number of corporate investor and research members. So we're at the moment at 26 members. That has come from, I think, 8 years ago. It was 7 members that started the whole enterprise. So we're growing. We're slowly growing. But what I'm also very happy to see is that we're growing in the investment sphere also, which was a conscious effort that we started a number of years ago. Well, 2 years ago, to be frank, to attract more investors being directly involved into the network. Before we come to the jury, we come to our keynote speaker for today, and that's Juan Botero of Hello Tomorrow, straight from Paris. We're so happy to have you here. Give him a round of applause, please.
Thank you, Oliver. Hello, everyone. Very glad to be here in Berlin. So I'm Juan Botero from Hello Tomorrow. I'm head of startup programs, and we're going to discuss a bit today about how to use the technologies that we're seeing in advanced materials to grow towards a circular economy. So of course, startup, when we talk about materials, it's a very broad subject. So today, brought just 2 examples of what we've seen in Hello Tomorrow that are growing and trending. One about the production of polymers and also the manufacturing of batteries. So before, for those of you who haven't heard about Hello Tomorrow, we are a big network of deep tech. We want to express that we're from lab to market as well. So the idea is to bring all the scientific technology that's happening in the labs and the research centers to a big market. So what we do this through a global summit that we host in Paris every year. We just closed it 1 month ago. It was 4,000 people around deep tech, we have 10 tracks, so it's on energy, on biotech, on advanced materials, of course. And since 5 years now, we created the consulting division. So what we do is we advise companies on strategic innovation issues and to find trending startups and technologies that will help them grow. We just created our VC this year, and we also have startup programs that are basically to help startups develop. We provide also mentoring and access to investors. We have our pitch event on June 13, and very happy to have you there as well. So basically, what we have in Hello Tomorrow is a big database, and I'm telling you this because what we have, it's a big we are in the forefront of what's happening in technology, because each year our global summit we receive 4,000 startups that apply. Then we select the best 70 startups to pitch during this day, and these 2 days of just interacting with investors, with corporates, and with the 70 startups best of that year. So we have now more than 10,000 startups in the database. We update it each year, and we now have more than 120 countries represented along many industries that we see here. But basically, so what have we seen and what we saw this last year? The sectors that are growing the most are construction, manufacturing. It's big, basically trends that are happening in these areas that are maturing now, are markets that are maturing a lot, technologies that have started like 10, 15 years ago. Agri-food and mobility and logistics are the runner-ups, but are sectors that are growing a lot as well. And regarding technologies within these sectors, surprisingly or not surprisingly, but advanced materials is the most trending sector and the one that is growing the most. Follow up, of course, but quantum computing. Artificial intelligence got into top 5 this year, of course, but synthetic biologists and virtual reality are trends that are also growing a lot in the past 5 years. Yeah, 5 years. So I'm gonna walk here because I can see better here too. Yeah. So basically, within these topics, what we've seen is 5 trends that we have basically out of this 4,000 startups that have applied each year, and out of the 10,000 startups that that we have in our database, we do a research to try to understand underlying trends. And we have come up with these 5 trends, basically. So generative AI in healthcare, so a lot of things happening basically on the diagnostics and wound care. I'm going to jump the sustainable materials one. Then in biotech and consumer goods, so we are seeing, for instance, now companies such as L'Oreal investing in green sciences and in green technologies, synthetic biology in agriculture. So of course, all this fertilizers and the capturing of nitrogen, it's something that is booming, and circular energy transition. So this is a topic that we're going to discuss today within the sustainable materials production, which is basically the 2 highest and growing trends that we have right now. So back to our 2 topics. For sustainable polymer production, basically, it's the big thing, right? It's what we've been discussing, like plastics. 460 megatons last year, just the production of plastics. 90% still of them still dedicated to single use. And we're kind of tired of hearing this again and again, but we're gonna continue hearing, because we still need to pack things in something, right? So we still need to produce polymers somehow. The problem is that just 1% of polymers that we produce right now are bio-based polymers. This means that a lot of these polymers are in waste again. And if we see, I'm just gonna jump this one quickly. We have the real bio-based polymers that are just 1%, that it's an industry that it's growing, but still very small, because what we see now that we now see a lot of packaging and plastics that said recyclable, and that they can be, like, reintroduced in the value chain. The problem with this is that the recycling of this is highly complex still. Like doing real biopolymers, it's really hard, that are real biodegradable. They're biodegradable at very high temperatures, for instance, at more than 50 degrees, or they have to have a specific pH. So it's not something that you can dump in the fields and just like expect to decompose. So this is a problem that we do have. Only 9% of the plastics are being really recycled. 12% are being burned, and still 81% is still like ended up in the landfills, and of course ended up as microplastics in many parts of the world, including our bodies. So what is it that we're doing? I just brought a quick solution of a startup that we have in an ecosystem, not to draw the attention out of the startups that we're going to see later today, just to illustrate quickly the point. So we're seeing technologies on agriculture to extract cellulose from agriculture and forestry wastes. It is basically something that is already a waste, that it's already a bioproduct, and the idea is like to create a membrane out of this that basically at the end turns out into solid microbeads that can be used for everything, for painting, for coasting, for packagings. And this is part of the emerging solutions that we're seeing. Basically, we need action in 2 fronts: on developing real biodegradable polymers, and on using alternative feedstocks, because we do see even the bag that is made of cornstarch or something, it's still ending up in the land waste. So we need real biodegradable products, and from alternative feedstocks that are close to where we live. So if it's an island, probably it's based on algae or other materials. So that for polymers. Now quickly on battery materials recycling. So for reaching a circular economy, we do have to be. Is it time? I'm gonna run. So for reaching a real circular economy, we do need to be really efficient on the processes for the ones that we produce energy, for instance, right now. So the 2 most inefficient processes are the production of batteries and the production of hydrogen. The thing with batteries is that we use basically all the rare minerals that we have on the earth still. So the 2 basically leading products for the sustainable production of energy, they're still very high inefficient and very costly, both in money and environmentally. So what the idea is, of course, like on one side to include the batteries in the recycling process, and use production units of really organic waste to produce green hydrogen. So quickly, a deep dive on the battery part. If we see, these are the key drivers of the minerals that are the key drivers to energy transition. So it's basically the 9 most important rare elements on Earth that are driving technologies. If we see battery storage, it's highly demanding on 9 of them. So it's still a production that is highly demanding on minerals that are basically limited. And to make things worse, we're going to need much more in the next coming years. Because, so the yellow line is the demand that we currently are going to have with the policies that we have right now. The red line, sorry, if the policies change and we implement the policies that we have right now in lobby for the sustainable development scenario. But if we see the green chunk is what we have right now in operating productions to extract these minerals from, especially lithium, from these specific parts of the world. If we construct what it's under, if we finish to construct what we have under construction, we're going to just be a bit more. But that means that it's still a 10% gap on what we need, on the demand of the market to what we're going to be physically able to produce. So the only way to do this is through recycling what we already have. To make things worse, I'm going to make things worse first. So we have now the life cycles of the first batteries that have been implemented are about to end. So around 2028, we're going to see not just the demand for batteries that we're going to have on that moment, but all the replacement of batteries that we already implemented. So that's why we have this spike on the market. So it's a market that is going to grow a lot, and we need basically other solutions. So just a quick 2 examples that we brought. So we're a startup that is working with us. So it's a nanoporous membrane that is basically helps to filter when a battery is grind, to filter all the elements by size and by type of element. And then we have this startup that is working on closed-end solutions. So it's not just the production of the battery, but then they have their own system of lithium extraction that they can actually use that lithium to basically put it again in the process. So they sell modules that basically for companies to just implement on their own facilities. So again, this is an industry that is growing a lot for the investors in the room. Basically, it's one of the most demanding on investment right now. It's 92 billion that have been invested globally, and just they have 3 in big 2023 had one of the biggest rounds that is 1 billion from raw materials, for instance, just on the recycling of batteries. So just to conclude, these are like the 5 points that we see to really accelerate this transition to a circular economy. First, of course, is policy and legislation. We need to continue to pressure these governments to actually implement the laws that we need to make this possible. Consumer habits, so of course we can do until a certain point, but do the way we behave and the way we buy, of course, like affects what is happening out there. Strategic leadership, so basically this is mostly like for companies who decided, for companies that sponsoring here today, like this, that have decided to invest in this new type of technologies. Supply chain, so we do need a rework of this global supply chain to source locally the materials as we saw, and scaling up technology. So like the startups that we're going to see today is basically they need 2 things: access to corporates to scale up, and of course access to investment. So that's the way to get closer to a circular economy. So that's it, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan. Great stuff. And now we're going to do things a bit differently than in previous years. We're not going to have the jury introduce themselves. We do that briefly before the break. We start with the pitches straight away. And first one up is Fast Car Ceramics. Moritz. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome everyone. I'm Moritz from Fastcast Ceramics, and we are utilizing simple physics to improve your processes. So what are we actually doing? How does our technology work? I hope everyone here experienced some sandcastle build-up in their life, and then you will know that to build a large, complex sandcastle, you need just the right amount of water. Otherwise, it's just not stable. The reason behind this is simple, that the water builds capillary bridges between the particles and thus giving the stability. We are doing the exact same thing, just underwater. Then a suspension looks like, you can see it here with the particles in red and the connecting through a secondary liquid in yellow. And this is, we call this phenomenon capillary suspensions, and this is just a general mechanism to stabilize particles. So it's really independent of the materials. You can use it to stabilize suspensions. It prevents cracking during drying, and it's quite effective if it comes to tailoring flow properties. So we are mainly applying this for ceramics in different states, here for liquid state, but also some injection molded, extruded, as well as 3D printed ceramics. And our main customers are in the metal casting field, where with our technology, there's true circular economy possible for the first time. But today I want to talk about more applications. So we could also apply our methods for filtration, catalyst support, porous titanium layer for oxygen generation, for example, lightweight construction materials, just porous substrates of different shapes, and also in cosmetics or food industry. So we do have some use cases, what we are doing right now with our customers. So we accelerated processing times from today 10 days down to only 2 days. We changed carbon-based feedstock to water-based ones for 3D printing as well as for injection molding. And we lowered processing temperature from over 1000 degrees C to less than 200 degrees C for another customer. Our team is, there's David, my co-founder, and myself, and we both did our PhDs about porous bodies from this technology, and so we do have a profound knowledge of the technology. We are a spinner from the KIT in Karlsruhe, and that's also where our company is based. So in case you're working with stabilized particles, flow-through application, lightweight applications, or just some other liquid processing, please talk to us, get in contact, and we'll see if our technology can be beneficial for you. I have one other thing to say. Unfortunately, the last descent train back to Karlsruhe leaves at 5 p.m. today, so I really have to hurry. But if someone in the audience can give me a ride later on, I would be really happy to stay a bit longer. Thank you.
Thank you, Moritz. Great. Anybody going to Karlsruhe by car tonight? No, okay. I think the cab is waiting for you outside.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Right, next one up is Scale Biocomposites, also from France. Welcome on stage, Lance.
So, hello, I'm Lance Johnson. I'm the CEO of Scale Advanced Biocomposites, and we are raising funding to decarbonize high-performance composites. Assembling my first bicycle when I was a kid got me hooked on building things. It turns out that those two passions, one for bicycles and the other for building stuff, became my career. And over a number of years, I worked in product engineering, creating skis and bicycles and tennis rackets and other things. And I used a lot of carbon fiber, just as a lot of other engineers do, to build those things. Yeah, carbon fiber is expensive, but that's the price of performance. What changed my opinion about carbon fiber was when I learned about the environmental impact that it has. 1 kilo of fiber generates between 30 and 50 kilos of CO2 emissions. When I learned that, it set me on a mission to figure out how we can make high-performance composites without those serious emissions. Other bio-based materials are working at doing this, and currently there are options like flax fiber. Hemp is also in process. The problem is these single fiber solutions don't meet the industrial needs. First of all, their performance is quite limited. Secondly, they're cultivated in very specific areas in order to achieve their properties, and that means supply is extremely limited. And when you consider the performance level, the cost is quite high. Scale is different. We focus on blending a number of bio-based feedstocks to create our rovings. This is based on 4 patents pending that we have on this technology. Our unique area of expertise is on creating blends that have higher performance than the components do as single fibers. And we can also use this to customize performance for specific applications. We can use a range of feedstocks, cultivated fibers, agricultural waste, and even recycled cellulosic fibers to do this. And the benefit of that is that most of those fibers are cheaper than flax, and that means that we save on cost. This allows us to create materials that can be used on their own or with carbon fiber to significantly reduce costs and to save emissions. 1 kilo of our fiber generates only 1.5 kilos of emissions. The other benefit is we either maintain or actually increase the mechanical performance of our composites. So we're starting in the sporting goods market, but our materials are perfectly applicable in other industries like automotive, wind power, and maybe one day aerospace. The current capacity that we have allows us to produce 150 tons a year, but by adapting excess capacity from the textile industry, we can very easily scale with global manufacturing partners to serve the needs of our current commercial pipeline. And if you would like to come chat with me afterwards, we can talk about how our materials are impressing our customers and the team that is decarbonizing high-performance composites. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lance. Fantastic. Okay, do you have the clicker?
Oh, yeah, and questions.
No.
Morris didn't have questions, so I forgot about that. Does anybody have questions?
Yes.
Excellent.
Why did you start with sports industry?
There are actually some very good reasons. The first is that I have 25 years of experience and a network there. The second is the sporting goods industry is actually 10% of the carbon fiber market, so it's a big share. And they're also the first adopter of new materials, so they're much faster to market. Choosing something like automotive typically means something like a 4 to 6 year lead time until you're really in the supply chain. Yes, for aerospace, for wind power, you have even longer timelines. Those can be anywhere upwards of 7 to 10 years or more.
Yeah, and you're gonna get more points because he had Continental tires there.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. Maybe one more follow-up question. You pointed out different benefits from this approach. What would be the one reason a customer would buy today your product?
Right now, we have customers buying our product because the performance to emissions ratio is dramatically better than anything else in composites. One of the key concerns with high performance composites is they're based on carbon fiber, they're very difficult to recycle, and so reducing those upfront emissions, particularly in industries in transport where maintaining or even reducing weight is critical. Improving that performance to emissions ratio is what has people most interested.
What differentiates you from competition? Because I guess there are a lot of new companies also focusing on bio-based fiber. So what is your strongest point besides the blending?
Well, the strongest point is it's not the blending itself. What it is that we have found solutions that create a positive hybridization effect effectively. So we're getting more than the average benefit out of these materials and creating a solution that actually truly complements carbon fiber perfectly. So you can rely on carbon fiber for the tensile properties. You can rely on our fiber for the flexural properties and create a lighter, stronger, more durable part.
What is your industrialization capacity right now for this product? Is a testing product, or I didn't get that, or you are able to already?
Certainly, yes. So we've gone through our bench testing in the lab. We've gone through a manufacturability trial. We're currently in our pre-industrialization manufacturing trial, where we've got about 1 ton of material that we're running through, and we have, as I mentioned, capacity to produce up to 150 tons this current year. Yeah.
I've got a question, Lance.
Yes.
So thank you, first of all, it's very insightful. I have the question regarding the hurdles when entering the market. I mean, it's very cool that you have already these inroads. Now, what would be like the regulatory aspect when it comes to making sure that the materials that you've chosen has the right durability, et cetera, et cetera? Do you face any standardization, norming, what have yous? Like in Germany, we have like the German Institute for Norming. Is there anything that you need to basically meet when it comes to the durability, et cetera, of your product, of your material?
Yes, that's a very good question. There is no specific durability requirement or anything like that for the early markets that we're looking at. And as we look at later markets, there are specific instances. For example, we've been approached by the marine industry in France. And in order to serve them, we would need to have our materials certified. That involves some lab testing. It's not an onerous process. But typically what we see is that the complete composite is what must meet the performance guidelines. And so we need to work with any sort of manufacturer to ensure that we're able to provide them with the correct blend and the correct composition so that it meets their needs. But at present, we don't have a significant set of norms that we need to meet. That will come, though.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's time for another question. Okay, so
If there's a pressing question, do go ahead.
it is not pressing. I can do it at the
Later on.
together.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, then next one is Elementag from Italy, and Francesco is going to be on stage.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Francesco from Particular Materials, an Italian nanotech startup based in Padova. And today I will be presenting Elementag, which is our latest technology for traceability. So let's start from why Elementag. So the rising consumer awareness around green transition and the new regulatory frameworks that are being discussed in Europe are driving an unprecedented demand for transparency and traceability. However, industrial supply chains are often complex and traditional track and trace technologies are not well suited for all product categories. Moreover, the size of counterfeit trade and illicit trade keeps growing. consider that just in Europe, almost 6% of imported goods are counterfeits. And this is clearly damaging companies' brands and undermining their R&D efforts. So for this reason, we believe that new solutions are called for in order to enable transparency and traceability across supply chains. So traditional technologies like NFCs, RFIDs, and QR codes have some common limitations. They are typically visible, easily removable, and also copied. And most importantly, they cannot withstand any sort of processing. So Elementag overcome this limitation while also at the same time preserving some of the interesting features that these technologies have. So readability on site and high encoding capacity. So our solution is completely invisible to the naked eye, fully embedded and integrated inside of the item and equally spread throughout it, and most importantly, processing resistance, so guaranteeing end-to-end traceability from raw material to finished product. So having this in mind, so what it is actually Elementag. So just as we associate a set of information to the distribution of dots in a QR code or to the signal of an NFC, in the same way we can associate that information to the chemical composition of a nanomaterial, which is then integrated inside of the object, becoming a sort of artificial DNA. And to detect the presence of our marker, we decided to use portable XRF guns, which allow a quick on-site and non-destructive analysis. And so the technology is quite versatile. Virtually applicable to any kind of substrate and any material and at any stage of production. So from raw material to finished product and from industrial component to work of art. To give you an idea of what we have tested either in our house or with the industrial partners, we went from polymer processing in the eyewear industry with an in-bulk integration to surface coating for leather and ceramics to security inkjet printing for security printers and more upstream applications like traceability of critical raw materials relevant for the battery value chain. So at the moment, we have several pilots up and running. And with 2 customers, we're moving from the R&D phase to the industrial scale-up. One is an eyewear manufacturer from Italy. The other one is a supplier of leather interiors for the automotive industry. And at the moment, we're mainly looking for 2 things. So one is industrial partners willing to test our technology. And later this year, we're going to raise capital. So we're waiting for the feedback from the ESC Accelerator, which should come around June. And in total, we're planning to raise around 4 million, part of which will be financed by the EIC. And so this is our team, which is a solid mix of chemists, material scientists, and business profiles that have already scaled and launched other products in the past. And so that's it from my side. And if you want to know more, stop by our desk later, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Francesco. Questions?
You are only developing the tag. I suppose, or what is your idea of the entire ecosystem? Because if I'm a producer and I want to control my raw materials where they're coming from, they will be probably controlled on my customer. So how does this work? Do they have to? What is the idea of an investment for that?
Yeah. So let's say we come from nanomaterial synthesis. So our core technology as a company, so as particular materials, is a proprietary process for the production of a nanomaterial in supercritical conditions. So that's our core underlying technology. Elementag is just another application of our nanomaterials. And for Elementag in particular, we're building a full ecosystem. So we're developing a software platform that goes along with the physical tracers. Clearly, the instruments are not going to be made by us because so it's a mature technology. There are a bunch of players out there doing it. We have a tight partnership with Hitachi and their Italian distributor for the XRF. So we're building on top of their own system and their own software to kind of tailor it for our application, since clearly like the software part of XRF technology is not on par with the hardware because they were made for different purposes. So the idea is to have a full ecosystem of digital infrastructure plus the physical tracer, that's our core technology, and the distribution agreement with the XRF provider in this case. Yes, so let's say at the moment we're focusing on those applications which we are enabling something new that is not doable with other technologies. So having, for instance, traceability end-to-end from raw material to finished product is not something that you can do easily with NFCs, RFIDs, and so on. So we're focusing on those categories, so we're actually enabling something new that is not feasible, so there is not a direct comparison in cost-wise. But also when there is, so we have tested, let's say, our pricing, we have soft confirmation on the scheme that we have in mind. And typically, so NFC and RFID tags go between 10 and 50 cents, depending on how fancy they are. On a unitary price level, our technology is actually comparable, so it's not necessarily a cost issue for our customers. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Round of applause for Francesco. Okay, Sven, from southern Germany, Heilbronn, here in Berlin. Over to you.
The presenter. Thank you. So yeah, hi, my name is Sven. I'm from NanoEdge, and we create high-performance nano coatings. What do we really mean by that? Let me give you an example. Obviously, these kind of vehicles, they need shielding to protect their components, to protect us, the users, and therefore we need conductive materials. Commonly, this is done by bringing conductive filler materials or even metals into these products. But there's one more thing, the rise of lightweight fiber-based materials that is used in this kind of products. And therefore, we think we have a better solution. What's our solution? Well, we want to bring the electrical conductivity with our nano coatings directly to the lightweight material itself. Like you can see here, the carbon fiber coated with copper. This creates an ideal hybrid material with its original material properties, flexibility, and the shielding properties. So, how we did this? Obviously, we built up our own technology for it. It's a physical coating process, and it has a typical coating range up to 1500 nanometers, which is also important in case of this because of the flexibility. The really small nano layers are important attribute of this. Well, focusing on temperature sensitive and flexible materials, we also built up a roll-to-roll process to process coatings on fibers and flat materials, like you can see on the pictures. But there is still more to come. We do metallic coatings, as I already mentioned, but also non-metallic coatings. For example, coating with polymers. And this not just for fibers or flat materials, can also be to a wider range of substrates, like for example solids, powders, foils, or this kind of filtration material. But you can see them down in the pictures, but I also want to give you an outlook about our achievements so far. Well, obviously, we built up our prototype technology, also added on the roll-to-roll process, like I said, but we got already some traction with this. We sold a couple of, first, we did our first sales in the defense and the aviation industry with our setup. And we also started our own MedTech development project. Well, I'm talking a lot about we, and I'm here all by myself, so that's the team. Overall, we have a long year experience in R&D for thin film technologies, production, and business development. And now you know us, and we want to get to know you. So we're looking for customers that we can help with our small batch production. Also for pilot partners that we can build up own R&D projects together. And last but not least, we want to get in touch with investors. So feel free to come to our booth, check the materials, have a bunch of more here. And yeah, keep asking questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sven. Over to the jury.
So what made at the first place for you guys to have this idea? What was your initial USP?
The original USP was that we have been able to bring this kind of coating to flexible materials. Okay. Because maybe I have mentioned it, but maybe I will take the chance to mention it again. For us, we are looking for flexible and temperature-sensitive materials. Yeah, there we see our best application cases.
Okay. So you mentioned that you are able to do a roll-to-roll process. Is it a full roll-to-roll? Do you do the coating within this process as well? Because I just know it from, for example, photovoltaics, that it's not that easy.
Maybe if you don't mind, we're going back and having some insights. There you see now fiber or rovings or yarns that are coated, and it is actually the original picture from our roll-to-roll process, and yeah, it's treated in our blend, and yeah, it's still, that's the reason why I mentioned small batch, so we can do a couple of kilometers, not a couple of tons, but yeah, we got to start.
Thank you.
You gave us some examples of some use cases. Can you tell us a bit more about a specific value proposition that you have, basically what versus before and with your coding?
Okay. Well, let's because multi-layer pretty different, but ferromagnetic. So this filtration material, we did it for a customer. It's an R&D project. He wanted to have ferromagnetic properties on it. So we coated this with Invar and nickel. I don't know if you're familiar with this material, but anyway, metals. And yeah, well, obviously, at the original case, you don't have ferromagnetic properties. Now you have them. So hopefully this answers your question.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. And also compared to the competitors. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning this because, yeah, in the rush of the time, they need to cut it down. Well, okay. Like I said here, physical coating process, and it's already said, not chemical. So you see already where I'm heading my biggest competitions. And well, it's a physical coating. We're bringing layer by layer onto the surface, and not using inks or other chemical processes. That's the reason why we are looking specific for applications in this field where they are not able to do or they are not good to do it. So that's when I'm telling you about the temperature-sensitive materials or the carbon fiber itself. So, well, you can do this in a chemical process, but we talked about this. The properties of the flexibility must also be or stay there. At least this is the demand of the industry. Yeah? Yep. Yes.
I have one question. Could you estimate the velocity of the coating process?
So,
the velocity of the coating.
Okay, this depends on the coating you want to do. And the fibers, yeah. And there is also a lot of depends because it depends on what fiber you want to coat and with what you want to coat. If we take in this example, it's probably the slowest. It's a glass fiber coated with silver. Well, you want to probably know how long we need to make a kilometer. Then you have to bring me a layer thickness that you want to have, because the more, the higher the thickness is, the more time we need. So it's pretty difficult to answer this in just, if you have some precise meanings, we can talk about this, but yeah, it's difficult to say. It can be minutes, but it can also be way more. It's, depends on what you want to do. Yes.
Let's keep it to the jury, sorry. you can talk in the break, okay? Otherwise we're going to run out of time. So, any more questions from the jury? Then?
No worries, thank you.
Okay, next one. Then you have the clicker. You can fast forward perhaps, because we have from Berlin and Israel.
Yes.
Alex from Refresh Global. Off you go.
Hi, I'm Alexander from Refresh Global, and I'm here today to speak about something we surely all have in common. That's our clothes. So, what we do with clothes when we no longer need them, we just throw them away because we don't know what else to do. But did you know that this way we accumulate around 100 million tons of textile waste each year, and more than 80% of it gets in landfills or incinerators? So what to do with all this textile waste? Imagine in future driving a car with seats made from your old jacket, or imagine using packaging containing nanocellulose extracted from your old t-shirt, or even using perfume containing bioethanol extracted from your favorite hoodie. So you don't have to imagine it because we're already producing it. With a Volkswagen, we made car interior parts from textile waste, and we even made a first perfume in the world made from textile waste. It's here. It's from hospital sheets from Portugal. And our bioprocess can transform any type of textile waste into new products, new valued products. And we're focusing on those blends that other companies, textile recycling companies, are really afraid of. So in our process, we are dividing these blends and still preserving each fraction and not making new waste behind, leaving a new waste behind. But that's not all about our biotech process. We are developing our biotech process to be suitable for small facilities. So your waste doesn't have to travel to other countries, to big recycling facilities. It can be processed locally in our microfactory, in our future microfactory. So last year, 2023, was our first year that we started our commercial activities, and our revenue hit 115,000 euro. We already raised 1.1 million, but we still need 3.5 million to work on our first microfactory. Behind is our team. It's a team having expertise in textile engineering, biotechnology, and other fields as well. So if you want to hear more about Volkswagen Group as a successful story, or these acoustic panels that we produce with Meavo, or even to try this perfume, just let me know.
Thanks, Alex. Questions?
Thank you very much. What are your target customers? Would be Inditex, would be H&M, and working with big retailers, or would be then you mentioned Volkswagen? What is your target then?
So actually, speaking about these three products, it has a lot of application and a lot of industry where we can apply it. We selected 14 industries, and each product, it's different industries here. What we are for a non-woven application, we are currently focusing on automotive industry. For nanocellulose, we believe cosmetic industry, it's something that we want to go, and bioethanol can be used in any regular, usual state of used ethanol.
Okay. Thank you. I have two questions. The first one is about the efficiency of your process in the separation of different textiles because you mix. And the second is about your business model. Are you going to license your technology, or are you planning to create those micro factories on the clothes manufacturing sites, or how is it?
Okay, so we calculated that we can reach 95 cleaners of these products that we produce separating. So it's a really high value. And also we are currently focusing on B2B, but in future, when we establish our first microfactory, then we'll transfer to licensing, and that's something that will be our model.
Thank you.
Yes, one quick question. So I love it. It's very fascinating because you've got so many possibilities, and probably it's interesting to also see it on a time scale. But my question is, when it comes to establishing microfactories, where would you possibly locate one of these? Would they be close to the producer? Would they be close to their consumers? Like, what is your current approach of actually locating microfactories?
So, thinking about our biotechnology, we are trying to do this biotechnology to hack already existing machines in textile industry, and maybe this way we can find like a regular textile manufacturer everywhere in a small town in Europe. So they can do recycling as well. They can do recycling of their post-industrial waste, or they can collect from locally and do our biotech process.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
On to Olga from Incaptech from Switzerland. Over to you.
Hi, we are a startup from Switzerland developing novel dielectric materials. Dielectric materials, it sounds like a very technical term, but it's very simple. If we talk about smartphone, about computers, about data centers and so on, we talk about dielectrics. Basically, it's isolators. And these dielectric materials have barely changed over the last half a century, and now they're reaching their limit. The reason is very simple. The data transmission rates become faster and faster and faster. And the industry is urging, novel dielectric materials, but unfortunately, no one has been able to produce these novel dielectric materials so far. We have. The manufacturers are looking for the dielectric materials with the lowest possible dielectric constant, with air being the ideal dielectric, having dielectric constant of 1. And the existing dielectric materials have a typical dielectric constant between 3 and 5. We offer much better solution. What do you think they offer? 2.5? Maybe 2.3? Maybe 2? We brought down the dielectric constant close to air, close to 1. We obtained the record-breaking number 1.3. So we developed a novel, sustainable, and cost-effective technologies, several technologies, to produce these novel dielectrics with exceptionally low dielectric constant to enable the production of novel next-generation electronics, supercomputing, of course, data centers, and 6G, 7G, and next-G wireless systems. Of course, our dielectrics that solve the existing problems on the market, but they also enable to go to the next stage and provide the fast data transmission rate. And the faster data transmission rate is a game changer. It will change almost all the aspects of our life, similar to how 1G changed our lives over 40 years ago. And this is how a material looks like. It looks like bubble wrap, only at the micro or nano scale. The bubbles, we call them microcontainers. They contain air, which makes our material consist of up to 80% of air. In addition, we can, using additional technology, we can separate these microcontainers from our air film to create custom-shaped freestanding microcontainers to be used as fillers to be added into the existing resins to lower their dielectric constant. We also designed another technology to produce nanofiber non-woven fabrics from polyamide. Of course, it also has this exceptionally low dielectric constant of 1.3. It can be used, same applications, next generation electronics, telecom, but not only. The manufacturers are increasingly looking, increasingly interested in our material for lithium-ion battery separators, for lithium-ion battery housing, for high temperature protection and thermal runaway mitigation. And of course, the key to success is people. Our team has over 25 years of experience in designing various advanced materials and is led by Professor Sukharukov, who was named by Forbes magazine among the top 10 well-known scientists. And to bring our technology to the market, we are looking for a strategic partnership with the industry. We are mainly looking at out-licensing our technologies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Really interesting. You mentioned about the characteristics of your material that is you achieve 1.3 decay. What about the price compared with?
It's very cost effective because first of all, the technology itself, it's in the first case, it was kind of micro-embossing strategy roll to roll, and it's not expensive. Another one is modified electrospinning technology. But in addition to that, the material consists of 80% of air, and air is for free, at least for now.
Then what is your blocking point now?
We are looking for more contacts with the industry because once we have a first contact, everybody is amazed and saying, why we didn't hear about you before? And for a small startup, it's very difficult to get more exposure. So we are looking for as much contact as we can. And we are already having good conversation with different companies in Japan and Europe as well. We are looking for more.
Then I keep going. What is your evaluation now?
This is difficult to say because we have, we're not ready to answer this question now. Because we are not, for a startup, we have.
Which round are you now?
We are looking for, our technology is at the POC level, so we are looking at next stage to scale up our technologies.
What would be a milestone that you like to hit with the funding that you raised to get this to customers?
We didn't raise any funding yet.
No, but if you want to raise, what would you like to achieve with that funding?
We are looking for basically the partnership with the industry because I think it's better to draw our business from our strong point. Our strong point is a fantastic R&D team, so that's why we are more thinking, we're still hesitant, but we're more thinking about licensing. So we're not looking for funding yet, maybe we'll still consider, but we are looking for partnership with the industry so they will help us to bring the technology to the market. And they have, of course, preferential access to our technologies.
Okay, I think there aren't any more questions. Thanks very much to you, Olga. And now we have Kami from Poland presenting us Depot.
Hi everyone. I want to tell you about our approach to manufacturing electrodes. Electrodes are a key element of many energy manufacturing and processing applications. but there are problems with them. They, by design and necessity, work in harsh environments, so you either accept that and change them often due to wear, or you use expensive materials like platinum or iridium, which are usually procured from those more dangerous parts of the world. So we looked how to solve that, and there is this material called amorphous carbon. It's both resistant chemically and quite simple, made from carbon, really. But the way to produce it was very painful for everyone because it required toxic raw materials, and the production was multi-step, energy-consuming, and time-consuming. And we wondered how to solve that problem. So we developed the method for deposition of amorphous carbon very selectively, which allows us to build more complex geometries with this material for higher surface ratio and more efficiency of devices. And it's one-stage technological process that doesn't require any toxic material and needs fraction of an energy of this previous method. And we want to make from that electrodes for electrolysis of water for hydrogen production, because you usually need platinum or iridium, which elevate the cost very high, and our process is much cheaper, or electrodes for EDM machining, which is a very precise method of machining metals, and due to the wear of tools, this process loses its most advantageous point. And that's not all. We have measurements showing that this material is semiconductor, so sensing elements. It's biocompatible, so implantable electrodes, or due to its resistance to oxidation and chemical attacks, heating elements working in adverse environments. This is our roadmap. Due to some breakthroughs, we are a bit ahead, so we are moving to full 3D printing. And we see ourselves as producers and suppliers of advanced elements for electrolysis systems and tooling elements. This is our team, and yeah, that's me in the picture, but that's what public speaking does to me. And we have a lot of experience in material sciences, but we have also an advisory team for helping us with more business-related points. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the overview. Where on this journey from proof in the lab to a commercially usable product are you at the moment in terms of current traction with the product?
We build a do-it-yourself electrolysis system in our lab just to see if our hypothesis works. And we are in talks with some industry manufacturers to find, to build first pilot devices. And mostly that's why we are here to find these partnerships.
And when you would do such a pilot, how would you measure success? When would you think this is a successful pilot?
When we have a working electrolysis system, for example, in a Baltic Sea, powered with wind turbine energy.
Thank you so much. My question is, how stable are your glassy carbon?
We tested it by series of chemical etching processes to see stability, and there is this chemical solution called Piranha. It's a solution designed to etch carbon, and our samples, well, weren't affected at all by this solution. So we think that it's this very stable species of carbon.
Thank you.
Just want to know where are you investment-wise, and if you're, how much are you looking for?
Right now, we are mainly looking for partners, so to see precisely how much capital we need. But from our estimates, to move to level 6, we need like 600K for more advanced deposition system. We have a lot of basic research done. We know what we do next, so we know what to incorporate for a new system, and more or less on that level, yeah.
Kamil, I have a question when it comes to your preferred technology transfer route, because I understand that Cygnus is an established corporation in itself, and that Depot is a project as for now. Where do you see the project if it goes really well in the next 5 years?
We want to incorporate this year, or maybe at the beginning of next year, and the complete IP will be moved to the Depot, and we want to patent the material. It's a glassy carbon, but it's a glassy carbon with a twist. We have an idea how to protect it, and we want to also protect the applications made from this material. So the process would be our secret, and I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did, that you want to spin out of the company.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, super. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kamil. And going to the south of Germany, right out of Munich, here comes Serino.
Many thanks. So, welcome to Future of Quantum Sensing. I would like to start my talk with a small question that how many of you have already had a coffee today? And the second question, how much you were happy with the taste of that? Yeah. Actually, there are several factors that define the taste of the coffee. But the most important part is the caffeine and how it's roasted. By looking at this curve that came from the spectral imaging, we can easily identify the caffeine and also the moisture inside of the coffee. And it can really predict that how would be the taste of your coffee before having your coffee. This technology, called infrared imaging, has a wide application in the market. It's based on the simple physics fact that each material has its own fingerprint in front of infrared light. So that's why in the machine vision, they are using it for the identify the different materials, or not only limited to the machine vision. When it goes to the farming, they can also easily monitor all of the farm and detect the moisture and detect the pesticide, nutrition, and so on. And recycling, it is the best solution for the sorting of the different plastic. Behind of all of this technology is a small sensor, sphere image sensor. This sensor that I put an image of that, it is the most affordable Chinese one in the market. It costs 30,000 euro, and it's quite bulky. When you want to imagine that it goes to the inside of the camera, it's gonna be bigger. Current technology suffers from the high cost, bulky, being bulky and super complicated, and also limited spectral range that provide the limited places for their applications. Here in Serino, with combining of the quantum solution, quantum dots, and also additive manufacturing, inkjet printing, we have changed the game. First of all, we have our own patented quantum dots. We have made the formulated ink, and after that we have placed inside of the inkjet printer. And the final sensor came up. I want to show you an earlier stage sample that we have made almost 3 years ago. All of these pixels has been made with the more than 90% production cost. And it is not the only point. I forgot to mention that the classic production process for the making of the sewer image sensor, it takes in some cases some days because they are using epitaxial fabrication and also assembling semiconductor to the readout electronic. With our technology, we can easily print our solution without any spin casting process on top of electronic circuit. And when we are going to compare ourselves with the current technology in the market, we have reduced the production cost up to 90%. And moreover, since our technology is independent from any solder bonding or assembling, we can reduce the pixel pitch. At the moment, we have reached to the 20 times smaller pixel pitch, and it is a big step toward of the miniaturizing of the image sensors. And on top, our detection range by our quantum semiconductor is 20% wider. For example, at the moment with our technology, we can identify CO2 by infrared imaging. That is impossible with the InGas technology. We have been trusted and awarded from the different places. Actually, we have passed a long journey from the lab up to here in front of you. The most highlighted part is that last year we have started with the exist fortune transfer, and also I'm honored to announce that we have started our project with Fraunhofer, University of the Fraunhofers, to build up the first hyperspectral image sensor based on the printed quantum dots. Up to now, we have secured around 1.5 million euro to finalizing our prototype on this year. And we plan to reach the market of image sensor on next year. Behind of all of these is strong, and oh no, I forgot to just remember that our business model is B2B. Basically, we are making our sensors and selling out to our end users, to the camera manufacturer, and they are back to the end user that would be different companies. And the market size of the image sensor by itself, infrared image sensor, is around $3 billion. And behind of all of that is a strong and multidisciplinary team that they are working more than 2 years, all of them together, inside of the University of Munich. And the team, beside of me, we are having 2 other co-founders. Rico is a quantum scientist, and also someone who is sitting here is our business developer. Many thanks for your attention, and let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure meeting you. Can you just run me through again what the first target market is that you entail? Because I think you did mention something about camera manufacturers, but I'm not quite sure if that is now your first just pilot customer, or if that was also the market that you're preparing your solution for.
Actually, at the moment in our website, we have started to sell out our ink for the image sensors, and also we are having at the moment in our website, you can also order the single pixel detectors. But let's talk about vision, that it's going to be more interesting. If I back to the, not here, no, yeah. If I want just to talk about here, when we are going to the more developed devices, I'm talking about the final image sensors with the multispectral or hyperspectral camera. Sereno, it is at the moment the current stage of the market. The market is governed by the classic InGas technology. That's why they are, since that they are quite expensive, they are limited to the those expensive applications. Sereno, since that our production process is quite a lot more affordable compared to them, we plan to reach to the consumable part. And our miniaturized image sensor is a big step or big solution to bring to be the future of the AI chips for the collecting the data.
Thanks a lot.
Not all.
My next question is, you were explaining your business model, and now you were just saying that you're also selling or considering of selling the ink. So could you just break down for me again the very many different value propositions that you have? Because I see a business model based on, I don't know, 4 or 5 things.
Actually, in our journey that we have passed, we have learned during the journey that, however, we have a clear target in front of ourselves, just to start to receive the feedback from the market as soon as possible. So what we have seen that in the meanwhile, that we have also some customers that they are interested to test our ink and also to have our inks, including universities. So that's why we have started to sell our inks. But if I want just to talk about our inks, we have 3 types of them. The first one that we are mainly work with them is that also being image sensor is a Serino one. We are having also lead-free quantum dots and also organic polymers that they are working with the different configuration and for some places that they have a different restoration about the materials that they want to have in their sensors, we are having 3 different solutions.
Wow, so you have the ink and you have a breakdown of the ink parts into different types of ink. You can tell that I am not into spectroscopy. So you have the ink and you have ways of designing the ink. Then you have the device that goes with the ink and you have that reads the ink, and you have the not just reading the ink as the device, but you also have the chip. And I'm sure I'm missing out on one more, which is the probably the manufacturing of it.
Regarding to the chip, we are having the TRL level is smaller. At the moment, we are having the single pixel detectors, but then we are talking about image sensor, they would be around some 1,000 or 100,000 pixels beside of each other. So at the moment, the main challenge that we are having at the moment, that, as I mentioned, that we are working with our partners to integrate our printed film with the current CMOS electronic. So I hope that I have tried just to address that.
Thank you so much.
Not all.
A short question. Besides infrared cameras, is there any other application of for your sensors?
Beside of the, I mean, if you're going, for example, the identification of the material has a wide application. For example, about the in the pharma or in the food, they can also be a strong pocket size sensors in the hand of the consumer, in the hand of the customer to detect, for example, sugar or some other stuff. But at the moment, our agenda or our journey is more clear toward of the image sensor. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Amir. All right, we're coming to the penultimate startup. And we have BioHalo from Copenhagen and actually Johan from Germany on stage. Over to you.
Thank you. Thanks. Hello. I have the pleasure to introduce BioHalo, the biohalogenation company, to you. PFAS, also known as forever chemicals, have a detrimental impact on both human and planetary health. Just a few facts to illustrate this. Alone in Europe, there are 22,000 sites contaminated with PFAS today, which will need remediation in future. Whenever you think about the global market size of PFAS compared to the annual healthcare-related cost, the Nordic Council of Ministers estimates that alone in Europe, the healthcare-related costs are between 50 to 84 billion euros compared to the 28 billion dollars in market size. Moreover, traditional production methods are highly unsustainable. However, it's not fluorine's fault. Fluorine actually is an incredible molecule. If it's present in materials, it transforms them into high-performance substances with remarkable properties ranging from chemical resistance to electrical insulation. Because of these remarkable properties, PFAS chemicals are stable in a lot of industries ranging from medical devices and renewable energy systems. Just an example, because we are based in Copenhagen, modern wind turbines would be less efficient and less durable without PFAS-based lubricants. Given the significance that fluorine has for the industry today, the solution isn't to eliminate it, but to find more sustainable ways to use it. Enter BioHalo's biopolymers. We have developed a technology platform which produces bio-based PFAS replacements which merge high-performance properties with sustainability. When it comes to our products that we produced, most critically, by design, they are biodegradable or recyclable. Our two flagship products are Fluor PHB, which is a material that boosts water repellency properties like PTFE, commonly known as Teflon. Our second molecule that we are working on is a new-to-market polyamide, which has enhanced properties compared to the polyamides that are commercially available today, like nylon. When it comes to our beachhead market, we intend to target the coating and film sector due to its low volume, high price characteristics. That's where the revolution will begin. When we come to our timeline, we want to raise a pre-seed round in the future. This is your chance to join the biohalogenation revolution. Our team is led by our two co-founders, Dr. Nicolas Krink and Mariella Mazzina, both experts in biohalogenation and biopolymers. Of course, in future, we would like to extend our team both scientifically and commercially. And if you're interested in partnering with us, be it on the investor side or on the company side, please approach us. Thank you for your attention. I can give you mine.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Now it's working, thank you. Thank you very much. You mentioned that you are going to focus on the coatings and films market, but within that market, do you have a specific target? Is it for automotive or for wind energy, or what is your first target?
Within the coatings and film sector, we like to think that the industrial applications market is the best because of favorable go-to-market timelines. When you compare it, for example, with medical devices in the industrial application area, we will be much sooner. And within the industrial applications, we also have very different sizes of volumes which will be needed. So we will focus on some parts of the market that we can satisfy early on, not need like hundreds of years to produce enough.
Thank you.
Johan, thank you so much. It's great to also see that you are starting with us with a beachhead market that I can grasp. However, can you just briefly run me through what PFAS is and where it currently occurs? You know, I'm not a chemist or just a business person.
For sure. So PFAS stands for per- and polyfluorinated alkyl substances, and they are everywhere, I promise you. Going from like the conditioner that you use maybe to shower in the morning, going to the razor blades that your husband maybe uses to not kind of harm the skin, going to surgical knives to not have non-stick properties, to flesh, going to KitchenAid, for example. Teflon is used a lot in the pen area or in KitchenAids, right? When you think about rain jackets, but also when you think about major weapon system in the military space, if you think about aviation, planes are coated with this. When you think of the blades of windmills, they are coated with PFAS. So it's actually difficult to find a place where it's not used. And we have a lot of startups that presented in the electronic space, right? For example, all semiconductors today are coated with PFAS. When you look, for example, at your sports watch, it's impossible to get that functioning without having a coating that repels moisture and dust so that it endures some time. So it's everywhere.
And there is no process technology out there to decode whenever you would give it to the
So PFAS has these benefits for a reason, that it's indestructible, and that's because the carbon-fluorine bond is not occurring too much in nature, and for this reason PFAS molecules have these nice properties that you usually don't find in nature, and for this reason nature is not really equipped to deal with it. Of course, there are for certain range of, let's say, use cases or PFAS molecules ways how to cope with it. But in general, when you, for example, see at how much fines are issued, for example, last year in the US, it's a real big problem.
I know the market or the industry is really looking for this type of solutions, PFAS-free. What has been challenging for you to get to a proof of concept with a customer? What is the main blocking point for that?
Actually, we are here for, let's say, 8 months. We were incorporated in July and started like operating in September. And it's amazing that we are approached by really big companies and, let's say, bigger, medium-sized ones on a weekly basis because they want to know if we might be able to help them. You have to keep in mind, in Europe, we are thinking about a very restrictive regulation on PFAS. So a lot of customers really, or potential customer really want to talk with us and share what they need because they are desperate to find a solution. And also in the US, the liability side is quite dramatic. Companies are now responsible for polluting the environment. And just like 2 weeks ago, the Biden-Harris administration issued a law which needs everyone to reduce the PFAS level in water because it has dramatic effects with the annual healthcare-related costs in Europe show, right? For example, pregnancy is affected, your liver is affected. So it has a bunch of really not so nice effects. So I feel like the regulatory pressure, the liability pressure, and the pressure for sustainability is really working in our way, making a lot of companies interested in seeing if we might be helpful for them to be, helping them to achieve their sustainability and societal value goals.
Thank you.
Thank you, Johan. And last but certainly not least, we have Parastruct from Austria, presented by Freya.
Thank you. I hope there's still a little bit of attention left. So when I just moved from Innsbruck to Berlin, I couldn't help but notice some slight differences. The most obvious one might be there are no mountains in Berlin. But there are also some similarities. So there's a lot of construction going on. And as the transportation of the waste material is not economical, these materials are often simply dumped on site, which means that in Innsbruck, they're filling up entire valleys with it, while in Berlin, they're building up mountains, or at least they're trying. So if we continue like this, we might end up here at some point. But jokes aside, landfilling is expensive and of course unsustainable. And it's somehow bizarre that the same industries that are producing so many waste materials are also dependent on scarce resources, like for example sand. So the solution seems to be clear. We must make better use of our waste materials and implement a circular economy, which is exactly what Parastruct does. So we have developed a technology with which these industries can valorize their waste materials, no matter if mineral, biogenic, or even mixed. And to do so, we develop recipes from the waste streams. And here we work with recyclable mineral binders and our material platform. These material mixtures can then be transformed into fully circular construction components. And for the manufacturing process, we orchestrate our partner network in the machinery building. And through our recycling process, all products produced this way are fully circular and can be transformed into secondary raw material again and again. So other companies that are dealing with this kind of waste streams are, for example, downcycling it into granulates. They're often limited to a certain binder or a certain waste stream, or they're performing carbon capturing. Our technology, on the other hand, is transforming waste materials into high-value recyclable construction components without the need of transportation. We can use a big variety of materials, and we tackle the problem right at its source, by reducing raw material demand. Our business model is based on licensing, and for sure the construction industry will profit the most from the positive impacts of our technology. But also wood, raw materials, and the steel industries are producing a lot of waste materials. Our go-to-market actually will be the refractories industries, because here we already have market traction and a business angel active in this field. Our founders team combines years of experience in practical construction and in the development of additive manufacturing methods, as well as a broad academic knowledge in the fields of material science, chemistry, and product development. And we just started our first round, and we're still looking for a lead investor. And we're always looking for customers and partners to expand our network. So if you're interested in learning more about Parastruct, and if you want to know what this strange brick is all about, then please come to my booth and let's have a chat. Thank you.
now. Thank you ever so much. Very exciting. Let me just be clear on what it is that we're talking about here. So you have this technology whereby you use inputs that are from a construction site, the trash from a construction site, and you turn them into outputs and you use it ideally on site so that it could be reused and is circular?
Yes, so the construction site is one potential target, but I think it's not the best one for market entry because construction industries are a very slowly moving industry, and of course the waste material from a construction site are more complicated than, for example, byproducts from different industries, which are mostly pure materials. So the first industries we focus on is, for example, refractory industries or other industries that can then produce products out of their waste material that they are already using or that are already within their product range. So for example, the refractory company we work with already, they would be able to produce lower grade refractory materials which they then can use in their own process or even sell as refractory materials.
And given that there are so many people who might need it, who are you intending to start with first?
With the refractory industry, that's because we already have contacts there, and there's another market entry because we're collaborating with Voxeljet as our provider for machines, and in this case especially for 3D printers, and they are also interested, for example, in buying the material mixtures and in distributing them amongst their customer base.
Thank you, Freida. I have one question regarding the applicability of your technology for plastic industry.
Mm-hmm. You mean if we can maybe even use it instead of plastics? Yes, there might be some application fields. For example, the construction of specially shaped molds for formwork industry or also for different laminating and cold casting techniques. So if you need specially shaped formwork, conventionally they are often made from plastics. And here we have developed one of our first products, which is actually a recyclable mold that can be used as a formwork tool, and it would replace plastics.
Can I ask my question previously that I asked another team to you as well? What is the type of certification that you might need or that you need to comply with for material? How does that work? Are you largely creating an entire new material with what you do, or is it something that falls under existing certification regulation standards?
Of course, this is highly dependent on the filler material, so basically on the waste material we're using. But of course, having waste materials, we always call it waste materials, but basically often these are super nice raw materials. They're just not usable because of their physical properties. But of course, using especially inconsistent or mixed waste material can be a problem with certification. So that's why we focus with our first products on applications where you don't need any certifications, which is, for example, molds for formwork or also acoustic panels, indoor wall elements, and so on. In the future, we want to let our materials certificate also with the most common waste streams, and then we will, not have this problem anymore, hopefully.
Hi. How about the cost versus current alternatives?
Mm-hmm. Of course, this is also highly dependent on the filler material, but most of the time the industries that are having these waste materials are already paying for landfilling these waste materials. So the filler material is basically for free, or even, they're happy to get rid of it. And the binder materials, we work with different binder materials. And here the nice thing is that we can use them again. So the primary provision of the binder material can be, for example, more expensive than cement. So, for example, this binder material we used here is a little bit more expensive than cement in the primary provision, but as you can use it again and again, of course, it gets cheaper with every cycle.
Thank you very much. what about other type of recycling materials? And I come from a tire company. There is a lot of landfill of tires in the world. Did you think about it? Is something that is in your long shot or?
Which one? Tires.
Tires.
So gummi, rubber. Yeah, we get a lot of emails asking us if we also, for example, can recycle plastics and so on. And it wasn't in our focus until now because the origin comes from powder bed 3D printing and working with mineral binders. But we will definitely take a look into that because it seems to be a huge problem. So yeah.
I can tell.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right, so it says break here, but I don't let you go before I tell you something more, because as frequent ATMACOM demo day attendants know, we've got 3 prizes to give away today. One is the jury prize, that's the grand prize, and the jury is now going to retreat and contemplate who's going to be the ATMACOM 2024 winner. We have a mentor's choice, all the mentors, and I've told you already the startups have seen 15 to 20 mentors in the last 3 weeks, and we've asked the mentors to rate the startups also. And based on that, we also have a second winner. And then the third winner is the crowd favorite, and that's where you come into play, all you that sit here. You can scan that QR code or go to Slido and chuck in this number, and then you can vote for the startups. And that will be then our crowd favorite of 2024. Now, let's reconvene in half an hour for some great inputs from, as I said before, our hosts here at Technical University of Berlin, as well as our sponsors, Red Zone by SARS, and then the announcements of the winners. In the meantime, you can talk to the startups, you can have a drink, you can have some food, and let's reconvene at 25 minutes past the hour. Thank you very much so far, and see you then. Okay.
We are one of the first 2 winning startups to be accepted to the Red Zone Acceleration Program, and we are currently entering the second phase, maturing our technology to the level of a MVP. Mimotype is a nanotech company from Berlin doing biomorphic material innovation. As technologists, we subscribe to the thesis that biology is nanotech going live at the tiniest level of matter. The lines are blurred between man-made nanomachinery and natural architectures. Technology and nature converge on the same solutions and problem-solving strategies. They are like mirror images of each other. That's why we called our company Mimotype. That's a term borrowed from evolutionary biology.
Our focus at Mimotype is on light-emissive materials from nature. The molecular structures found in bioluminescent organisms are really similar to the ones used in organic electronics. Our mission is to reinvent light. We refer to ourselves as the Light Biomatter Company. Our gateway product will be a portable light therapy device. Think of our gateway product as the Walkman of organic electronics. We will miniaturize and streamline what has been a bulky contraption so far, bringing a new level of comfort, convenience and health to performers who prioritize well-being.
Superb. Thank you very much for this great video. And we have the main actor here live on stage now, Claudio Flores from Mimotype. Give him a warm hand. Okay, Claudio, tell us a bit about Mimotype and your experience with Red Zone.
Yeah, hi everyone. I know quite a lot of you, not all of you, so nice to meet all of you. I'm Claudio, I'm one of the co-founders of Mimotype. We are a Berlin-based bio-nanotech company. We've been working with bio-inspired light-emissive materials for 3 years now. And we have been working closely with Inam also right from the get-go. So also appreciate the work that Inam is doing, and you, Oliver, thanks. Yeah, so what do I mean when I'm talking about bio-nanotech and light emissive materials? So you all probably have seen maybe live, maybe on a video, bioluminescence, so biological light emission. And the cool thing is that there are so many chemistries out there that we can make use of. So we can either recreate these materials using organic chemistry and tune them and make them better, put them into OLED devices, into solar cells. So it's really interesting to think about what we call ecologically seamless materials for organic electronics. We also work with fluorescent proteins, and we got a sprint contract like 1 year ago. So there's lots of motion in this space, and it's really interesting to combine bio and nano. And we met Andrea, the program manager from SAIS, 2 years ago, and he was really impressed by this idea of making use of nature for advanced materials. I know it's kind of a hype right now, so there's lots of new bio-based materials. But what we are focusing on really is something that not a lot of other people are doing, looking at electronics, looking at organic electronics, carbon-based semiconducting materials. And this proposal was really interesting to Andrea of SAIS, since they have experience in organic electronics. And they also just found this idea really compelling to recreate electronics in a way where we avoid electronics waste, and where new materials that emit light actually interface with biomatter, with human beings, with animals, with plants. And this is how we then came up with our idea, our product that we are creating jointly with SAIS. It's a wearable, it's a light emissive wearable, so it's directly interfacing with the human body. And this is what we explore together, the frontier of stretchable electronics, conformable electronics, making use of our materials and the facilities in Milano or close to Milano. So this is definitely a plus. Milano is great, and for us it was really interesting to start working in northern Italy and have a corporate partner. The labs are also really amazing, high-end equipment. The whole place is remodeled and just dedicated to cater to the needs of startups that work on advanced materials. Mainly advanced materials, so we are also doing a little bit of electronics. So this is why sometimes we have to find some people who can help us out with this, but SAIS is super helpful in doing all of that. Yeah, overall we had a really, really amazing journey so far. We are on the track of creating a business relationship together, which is the goal of this whole program. So they want to work with us. They want to contribute parts of their product catalog components into our material, or possibly we create joint IP for this dedicated project. Obviously, when there's a startup and a corporate, you always have to be aligned on the interests of where you want to go with this project. Yeah, our work relationship is always really based on professionalism and a shared goal of creating a new business with the background of changing the way that electronics is done. And we appreciate that SAIS is believing in our vision. And we are really excited about the future. And yeah, we are bringing this MVP to market within the next 12, 18 months. So the timeline is extending beyond phase 2. And I'm sure you're going to hear about it through the Inam network, or just talk to me afterwards, and happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Claudio. And now we have, in fact, no voting no more, but our host on stage, And I'm very pleased to have her here today, Rachel Marchal from GreenChem.
I believe this is not really fit to the screen. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here in our wonderful Eins. I'm Rachel, and my presentation already started. So, oh, it's running out of time. I don't know. Well, we will manage. We all know why we're here, because this is our Earth, and we're currently using 1.7 Earths in terms of resources. And this is not sustainable at all. And we all need to work together in order to fix that problem. And we think that Germany especially has a big need to help there, because we have a lot of resources. So we are the #2 in chemistry Nobel Prizes as a country, with 30 prizes, which is amazing. And we have a very big section in industry that is chemistry related. And chemistry is actually our 3rd biggest sector in industry and makes lots of money. But the problem is that industry in chemistry in the moment is mainly based off fossil resources, which is not sustainable anymore, or was never, but we know how unsustainable it is. But research has already given us the 12 principles of green chemistry by John Warner. And John Warner is a really great guy who brought us these principles, but in the moment we still have these problems. We have here the chemical research on one side, and we have the market on this side. And actually in the moment we lacking the bridge between them, because we have fantastic chemical research, but it's not used in the moment. A large extent of research go just to the shelves. People publish and then they forget it. And the market is asking for it, and it's needing a lot of invention, but they have no tools to manage that. And this is what GreenChem tries to do. We try to make an ecosystem where everyone can come to us who wants to have green chemistry in their lives, and we help them where they are. And we do this in different approaches. So we have 5 target areas plus 1. And we have the research push area and the industry pull area. So in the research push area, we try to help researchers to take their innovative ideas to the market. On the other side, we ask industry, what are your demands? And we try to help them. And in the middle of that, it could be startups. We support a lot of startups. I will come to this later. But it could be also just knowledge transfer of technology into the market from both sides. Next to that, we also teach, because we believe that we need to educate our students earlier on green chemistry, so that they already know what to do when they come into the area of research themselves. Also, we educate the industry, because let's face it, we need the change now. So people in the industry need to know what to do in their own R&D departments. And we also help stakeholders realize what to do and what they need to look for in the end, so that everyone is on the table and can together work for green chemistry in our lives. So I was told here are mostly startups, so I show you a bit of our research push and industry pull areas. In general, we have these really nice formats, so kind of events, but not all of them are events. For example, the incubation lab which we have, which is infrastructure, but I will tell you more about it later. But we have a lot of different target personas, events that fits to their needs. This is the same with Industry Pull, of course, but this is more interesting for startups, I guess. So we have infrastructure, and as you might know, it's incredibly difficult for chemistry startups to exist because they need infrastructure and they do not have it, so they need laboratory space. And this is what we offer, and this makes us unique in Europe because we have it from TRL 1 to 9, which is amazing because we can guide them all the way to the market. And we have here in Berlin the incubation lab, and we're currently building the CIF, which is then across the street there. We have the scale-up lab, which is in the south of Berlin, where you have a bit more of traction already. We can use our partners Technikum, which is not in Berlin actually, but in the western part of Germany. And we're working together with Fubik and Potsdam Science Park to get a bit more plants running. We also offer the network because we also need the network to get traction, to get partners, and this is what we offer. If startups come to us, we can provide them with a lot of different business partners, but also from the side of the politicians, we have a lot of partners. For example, INAM as a partner, who are really good partners, by the way. And therefore, we have a big network of startups already. These are the startups that we're currently working with, but we're happy to get to know way more and include you in our network, and I think it would be beneficial for all of us. Yeah, so please keep in touch if you're already in touch with us. If you're not, make it your priority to get to know us now. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Great. And now, before we come to, for some, and particularly the startups, most important part of the evening, I would, because we skipped that step due to time pressures before, I would like to ask the jury that has already taken a decision to briefly join me on stage and do a quick round of intros so that the audience knows who has been at the helm tonight. Okay, I'd say let's start with the ladies, of course. Anna.
Yes, hello, good evening. I am Ana Lucia. I am a polymer scientist from background, and I work for a Japanese corporation called Nito. And we develop advanced polymer materials, and yeah, we are starting to be in this kind of innovation events and ecosystem, so I'm very happy that we joined this year INAM network, and we are now an official member. So congrats to all the startups who pitched today. It was really nice to talk to you, and it has been a great experience to be part of the mentor and now the jury.
Thank you very much. My name is Susanne Perner, and I have the honor of actually working with INAM as a freelance trainer for the past coming up to 3 years now. In my day life, I actually work with TU Berlin. So I work here in the technology transfer and focus on working with scientists such as you. It's been a super pleasure working with you, and my focus is usually on the artificial intelligence.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I am Silvia Wenzel. I'm an innovations manager within the photonics cluster, and we are part of Berlin Partner. And yeah, it was a great pleasure for us to welcome you within the ATMACOM context at Berlin Partner this week and got to know everyone. It's a very exciting batch this year. And yeah, I'm actually looking forward for the award ceremony now.
Well, I already introduced myself, but quickly, I'm Juan David Botero from Hello Tomorrow, a recent partner of ENAM, and well, head of startup programs and industrial engineer by training. I'm very happy to be here.
Good afternoon. My name is Werner Palmer. I'm working with Continental for a long time. I'm an innovation manager there. My sector is tires. I also work with Copace. That's why I'm here today. We also try to match startups with Continental. It was a great event to be here, and thank you very much for all of the presentations tonight.
Yeah, last but not least, I'm Benjamin. I'm a venture partner with Luna Ventures, an early-stage venture capital fund operating all across Europe, focusing mostly on software infrastructure like new algorithms, databases, machine learning tools, but on the other hand, looking also into adjacent areas such as materials and machine learning for material development. I'm a physicist myself, and yeah, happy to talk to anyone who's raising pre-seed or seed and is looking for a VC lead.
Thank you very much, everybody. And before we come to our next, or first prize actually, which is going to be handed over by our sponsor, Investitionsbank Berlin, I would like to ask Konstantin on stage and tell us a couple of words.
Thank you, Oliver. Yeah, hello, and hello again. Yes, my name is Konstantin. I hope you all had 3 weeks of interesting mentoring sessions, workshops, and of course sightseeing here in Berlin, and I hope you liked Berlin. Yeah, my name is Konstantin Hansen, and together with my colleague Christian Koch and Desislava Torzen, we had some very interesting mentoring sessions with very innovative companies. Yeah, who is IBB? IBB stands for Investitionsbank Berlin. We are the public development bank here and owned by the city of Berlin. And we provide public grants and loans, as well as commercial loans in cooperation with local commercial banks to share the business and also the risk. What are we doing? We are supporting companies here to realize their projects, their investment and R&D activities here in Berlin. And the goal or the aim is, of course, to create qualified jobs here in Berlin and, of course, to make Berlin a center of science and technology. Yeah, what is our role here at the ATMACOM? Of course, we are the sponsor of the ATMACOM, and but we're also doing the mentoring sessions. For us, it's very interesting because I think it's a good idea, or it's a good thing to get in touch with very innovative companies from all over the world, and that's very interesting for us, of course. And our big goal or a big challenge is maybe to success some companies to come here to Berlin, as we did in the last years. We could convince some companies, like for instance Oral Tech, and they really decided to come here and to set up their company here in Berlin. Yeah, that's about IBB, and now we are coming
to the awards. And
yeah.
We do have some sort of hierarchy of prizes, but to be fair, each prize has a different challenge. So the crowd favorite prize, obviously, the winner has convinced the majority of the people sitting in this room. So diverse backgrounds, lots of technical expertise, lots of finance expertise. So that is already quite an achievement, I would say. And I'm very glad that Konstantin is here to help me award the prize to.
Yeah, so yeah, I have the honor to announce the winner of the Crowd Favorite Award at ATMACOM 2024, and the winner is Serino from Munich. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Nice. Okay, thank you so much.
My co-founder is also here. Someone is here. Yeah, please come by. Just
Thank you. Okay. Next one. Also a big challenge because, as I've told you already, 15 to 20 people, and you've met some, you've heard some of the mentors that we've had here, but there were many that cannot be here because they sit in all parts of the world. That is actually the benefit of running a program hybrid. So the mentor's choice means you have convinced these 15 to 20 mentors that you've seen, and the aggregate score that they've given you has determined that you're the winner of this award. But before handing it over, I quickly hand it over to Sylvia, if you want to say a couple of words more about Berlin Partner, equally our sponsor of ATMACOM 2024 and of many ATMACOMs before. So.
Sure, but I keep it brief. Thank you, Oliver. So Berlin Partner is the Regional Economic Development Agency, and as such we are also supporting startups, but SMEs, corporates, and local research institutions and their endeavors here in the capital region. We do organized by innovation clusters, so we have a joint innovation strategy between Berlin and Brandenburg that we are focusing on, and as I mentioned, I am working with the photonics cluster, which is targeting everything around photonics, microelectronics, quantum technology, as well as advanced materials. And therefore, we are closely working together with INAM. We are one of our founding members and support all their programs like ATMACOM, ATMACOM Stale, ATMALab, and all the other events that INAM is organizing very happily. And yeah, it's my honor today to announce the Mentor's Choice Award. And I think I speak on behalf of every mentor if I say it was a tough decision because the competition was on a very high level this time. So it's my honor to announce Scale as the winner of the Mentor's Choice Award. Congratulations.
Great. And now the final prize, the overall winner of ATMACOM 2024, as determined by the hugely competent jury on all the matters that have been presented today. And I'm very glad to have Susanne Perner back on stage to present the prize. But hold on, Susanne, just 1 second. To get some other thing.
Okay.
Now I'm ready.
So, oh my goodness, this is not going to be easy nor simple. The jury we were 6 people, as you saw earlier, and it was pretty tough to actually debate. Let me reassure you that each team actually had one sponsor amongst us. So we were trying to fight, and you don't see my the injuries that I got from that, but all my colleagues also got some injuries because obviously we were fighting, and so I have now the privilege to actually say all of you won, but one was particularly convincing, and that was InCapTech with Olga.
Okay, that does conclude the ATMACOM 2024. As I've hinted at, we have many more things in the pipeline. For instance, We are planning a roundtable on the 4th of June in the context of our Investors Workshop series, discussing how to bring together CVC and VC better to the benefit of our deep tech companies. So that is something to bear in mind. There is, for the investors amongst you and also for the startups from the ENAM ecosystem, our Deep Tech Investors Lounge at the end of June on the 27th, hybrid event, partly or hosted for the in-person event at Berlin Partner in their lovely Holzmarkt building. Applications to that will open in a few weeks, roughly 2 weeks, and startups from the ENAM ecosystem can, of course, apply. What remains to be said from my side is a huge thank you, first of all, of course, to all the startups that have worked really hard this week. We've tried to really put some pressure on you, which was intentional, and I hope that that feeling ended up with you. I would also like, of course, to thank our speakers and jury, and last but not least, most certainly not least, the ENAM team. And if Chris and Nahida could briefly come to the front and do give them a big hand of applause. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you very much. Do you want to say a word?
I feel like I have to. Yeah, it's been great getting to meet all the startups for this one. You've all been really good. I can't wait to see where you all head next.
I was only going to say that we managed to get a red wine bottle open, if anyone's still interested. But I will also say this is one of the easiest groups that I've had to work with over the last 5 years that I've been at ENAM. I didn't have to chase a single person who was running more than a couple of minutes late for a mentoring session. So you were very easy to work with, and I hope you had a great day today, and let's have a beer. So thank you.
Thank you so much.